Great. Um, okay. Welcome, beautiful souls, to another fabulous episode of the Faith Fitness Joy podcast. I am your host, health coach and healer, Rochelle Renee. And just a friendly reminder before we jump in today, if you are not already, please make sure you like, subscribe, and share this podcast. And as always, if you feel led, if you enjoy this show, contributions are always welcome and greatly appreciated. And thank you all for your ongoing support and always tuning in. I am very excited for today's episode. It is episode 128. It is called Mindset of an Athlete, the role of mindset in sports. I am very excited to welcome special guest Andrew Gorkowski to today's show. He is the president and founder of Electric Fitness. I just love the name. And he's going to be talking to us and sharing some about his experience with mindset in his athletic career, particularly in basketball, but also a little bit about what he's doing now in the health and fitness space. So welcome, Andrew. Thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, thank you, Rochelle. I'm excited to be on here and talk with you guys. I've always kind of had this passion to help a lot of people and through mindset, fitness, and everything in between. So,
Wonderful. Yes, you are in the right place. And super excited to have you on today and to hear what you're going to be sharing with us. So, I know when you and I had spoken before, you shared with me that you've been playing basketball from, I think you said age 2. Is that
yeah,
right? That's
yeah.
amazing.
I started picking up a ball probably around age 2. And I mean, ever since I kind of got on that court, was playing around with it, I had a passion for it and loved it. And then just have taken it as far as I can.
That is awesome. Especially to have something like that at such a young age and start with that. So, would you mind sharing with the audience a little bit more about kind of how you got started with basketball, how you've continued with that over your life? And then I also understand you're currently playing basketball in college for your school. So kind of a little bit about that and where you see yourself heading with basketball.
Yeah. So how I got started with basketball, I think, was really with my dad. He played a little bit of basketball and he kind of helped me get into it, helped show me the ropes of what it was about. And then, like I said, I just kind of continuously played, continuously worked on the game and kept going. I would say currently where I'm trying to go with it is just as far as I can take it. That's always what he's told me of just take basketball as far as you can and see what happens. So that's what we're working on right now.
Very cool. Well, it sounds like you're well on your way. You're playing in school and just continuing to develop with that. I would imagine that mindset has been a huge part of your career with basketball and playing basketball for so much of your life, especially being part of a college team where I would imagine it's maybe a little bit different than perhaps in the past. So would you share some of your experiences with mindset as an athlete, kind of how that has helped you? What does that look like for you with regard to your sports?
Yeah. So mindset has been a big part of every step of the way of basketball. I mean, in the beginning, being a smaller guy, you always have to have this higher level of mindset to keep you going. Basketball is a taller sport. Everybody's tall and everybody's strong. So having that tough mindset definitely helps. But I would say the things that like I've went through with mindset um, have been being shorter, having that limiting belief of being shorter, and having that limiting belief of your dad's not playing, or your dad didn't play in college, so how are you going to get there? Your mom didn't play in college, so how are you going to get there? Um, the other piece is very focused on when you're a role player at the college level and you shoot, shooting is your job, you to put a lot of pressure on yourself to make that happen. And when you do that, it takes away from helping everybody else succeed and helping yourself succeed because you're putting so much pressure on yourself. So there's been a lot of limiting beliefs and mindset changes that I've been through throughout the journey. But yeah, that's just a few of them that I shared.
Yeah, it's just it never ceases to amaze me the way our mindset comes into play and how the subconscious mind and some of the programming. You mentioned some stuff like with, that you had this belief around like, well, my parents had never played, so that somehow means that it's not going to work for me. Just these things our brains come up with, um, that kind of that we have to kind of overcome and work through to keep going towards where we want to go. It just and we all have our own iterations of those things. So, if you were to share some tips for shifting your mindset or strengthening it with the audience, what would those be? Also, if you have any suggestions or favorite books or thought leaders in the space around mindset, self development, or anything like that that have helped you, I feel like it's like I said, we all have our own different iterations of it and our own experiences with it, and it can it can be sneaky to even realize and identify things like your limiting beliefs. So what does that look like for you, and what has helped you like navigate it and identify these things and shift your mindset?
Yeah. So first, I kind of just want to talk about one of the books I love, and it's Winning by Tim Grover. So a little backstory. Tim Grover is or was Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant's trainer.
Hmm.
And working at that level all the time, you kind of see what these guys are about. And he puts it into a great book that kind of describes how winning is in everything, whether it's your job, whether it's your sport, whether it's just life. Like you're either winning or you're losing. And the other piece of it is like getting out of that comfort zone. So a lot of people are in a comfort zone and don't want to rock the boat to get out of the comfort zone. Because the comfort zone, it's easy. It's like where you want to be, and it's a comfortable place where there's not like it's good for you, like you're happy. But he talks a lot about how you can, when you push yourself and make yourself get into an uncomfortable feeling, that's when you grow, that's when you mature and change and really elevate your mindset. So that's one of my favorite books, Tim Grover, Winning. And then the next part is with that mindset and like ways I've kind of worked with mindset and handle it is whatever you're telling yourself, the story you're telling yourself is either hindering or helping you get to success. So when you tell yourself positive things and you tell yourself you can do something, you're going to be able to do it. The other piece is like when you tell it bad things or you're negative all the time, you're not going to be able to do it. It's almost like faking the mind into doing it until you actually do it. The next thing I want to talk about is getting in the right environment. So a lot of people are hanging out with the wrong group, wrong crowd. And when you're hanging out with a bunch of negative people, it like takes energy, it sucks energy away from you.
Mhm.
But I mean, how do you feel about that?
Oh, it's absolutely, I agree. Like it can be very toxic. Who you're surrounded by can either be really toxic and pulling you down, or you have to try to find ways to put yourself around people that are either similarly inclined, or they have things or in a space you want to be, or where you're striving to be, because that's going to help lift you up. It's like, it kind of feeds each other. You're either being fed by negativity or you're being fed by positivity, whether it's your own mindset or people you're around.
Yeah. And just from, I mean, personal experience, you got guys and girls at any level of sports, any level of work that have that negative feeling, have that negative mindset, and it's not fun to be around. Like when you want something so bad, when you want to achieve something greater, and somebody is in your ear telling you, "Why are you so happy?" or "Why are you so this or that?" Like you got to get them out of that environment, and as a person, you have to make that decision. Like, do you want to be in that environment where you're constantly around negative people, or do you want to make a change and be somewhere else where you're growing and maturing and getting stronger and everywhere?
Mm-hmm.
The last piece I think is focus on solutions. So in basketball, in life, like I've hit these barriers. I know people have hit these barriers of also the limiting beliefs, but just you hit barriers and you're like, what am I going to do? Am I going to turn around and go home? Or am I going to focus on the solution of how to overcome that? But a lot of people focus on the problems and not on the solutions. So kind of just finding out where those problems are and looking for the solutions. I think that's a huge piece that a lot of people miss. But yeah.
Yeah, you're so right. About I love what you were saying about the people you're around for one thing, because it's the difference of kind of pulling you down, or like you said, it's like, well, one thing that struck me as you were talking about that is like kind of when you're in the process of trying to shift your own mindset or trying to overcome your own like inner story that's telling you like, no, this isn't going to work, and you're trying to battle those fears inside, and then you have one or more people around you that are essentially validating that and feeding it and like echoing it or mirroring it back to you. It's not going to help you at all. And then the other thing about looking for solutions or focusing on the problem, and it kind of resonates with some of the journey I've been on in recent months of kind of being in a walk of faith and learning to kind of have this trust and this faith versus the fears that come up when we are trying to do something that we've never done before. And you mentioned before, like, it's a growth thing, and you can't grow by being comfortable. And so when we're uncomfortable, that's when our mind will start to sound all these alarm bells that are, our fears and our deep limiting beliefs and these kinds of things. So I just love all of those things you mentioned, and kind of these three components of really looking at sort of the inner dialogue and like how are you speaking to yourself, and looking at where you need to change that. Getting yourself in the right environment, whether it's surrounding yourself with certain people. The other thing that comes to mind, maybe not so much about environment, but it's like the concept of in health and wellness, right? We're very aware of like eating a certain way to help improve our health, and what you're feeding your mind is very much the same, right? Like, so what you're
Yes.
listening to is also really important.
Yeah.
And then focusing on solutions as opposed to continuing to spin and I call it catastrophizing, like where you've got the problem kind of like rolling in your mind, and then like all these scenarios that could happen from all coming from your fear.
Yeah. I mean, the big thing I think is you're gonna believe whatever you tell your mind and whatever story, like I said earlier, whatever story you're telling it. So you're either choosing like tell it a bad story or tell it a good story. Which one are you gonna choose?
Mm-hmm.
Me, I'm gonna constantly boost myself up. I'm walking around the house telling myself I'm the man, I'm this, I'm that, just to build that confidence and build whatever it is. Like, and I think that's a huge thing that a lot of people don't focus on.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree. And it is like it's an ongoing thing you do. And I think that a lot of people don't realize that either. And some people I've worked with too, I feel like, they try something for a while and they don't see results in a certain time, and then they kind of give up on it, when really you have to keep working at it every day, all day. Um, so you shared a lot about this book, which is awesome, and I wrote it down because it's definitely one I would like to check out myself. But are there any kind of quotes or principles for maintaining a positive mindset that have been particularly helpful in your own journey? Whether it's kind of a mantra you've come up for yourself over time, or something that you learned from a mentor, or from some of these books that you've read, or things like that. Just something that you go back to often that kind of helps keep you in that positive mindset, or help support a shift in mindset.
Yeah, so I got two for you. The first one is gratitude removes negativity.
Mhm.
When, so I'll give you a little backstory. I was in Greece this past couple weeks, and you're seeing like farmers and people around that area that have little to nothing. And when you can reflect and be like, okay, like, wow, I have a lot and I'm super grateful, that negativity that you're telling yourself and all that negative energy starts flowing away because you can be grateful for what you have. Like these guys are on the farm working, and that's like their whole day just working, cutting crops, and we're worried about all the little stresses of life. And all they're worried about is how much corn they're getting or how much carrots, whatever the case is. Um, the second quote that I love by Eleanor Roosevelt is great minds discuss ideas, average minds discuss events, small minds discuss people.
Mhm.
So if you're around a bunch of people always talking about other people and comparing themselves, you that's a prime example of understanding that that person is tells you much more about that person than it does about you.
Yes, very, very true. Especially that last part, the small minds talk about other people. It reminds me of something I've learned over the last several years being in this kind of inner healing journey that I've been on. And this idea that pretty like we're always reflecting things back to each other. So that's helped me really like downsize other people's negativity towards you or whatever, because it's always a reflection of something in them, and it's more about something that you're doing maybe that's triggering something that they're not happy with or that they feel whatever about that. When they are giving you that negativity, it's more about whatever is happening within them. And I used to take things so personally for so long until I started to really learn about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Big time.
um So I want to shift gears a little bit because I know you mentioned, obviously you've had a lifelong, career with basketball. You're continuing that with college, but you've also shared this business, your electric fitness, and that this is something that you're in the process of building and working on right now. So would you share a little bit about that and what that is and what you do and who you're kind of looking to help with that?
Yeah. So I would say there's two pieces of it. The first piece is helping people work on their mindset, work on losing that weight, and work on nutrition. So those are the 25 to 50, 60-year olds
Mhm.
that want more, but don't really know how to get there. So that's kind of where I come in and I'm like, okay, here's this, this, and this. We're going to do this. And we're also going to work on your mindset. Because, like we've been talking about, mindset is a huge piece that a lot of people miss. And when you have a weak mindset, it definitely plays a big role. The other piece is as a college athlete, I want to help the people that are trying to get there. So the younger kids, probably me 6 years ago, kind of going into high school, not understanding what it takes to be a college athlete and how do you get there. But they want to do it, they just don't know how to get there. So I think for me, I mean, I had a few mentors which definitely helped. The boy Doug Howard from Evolution, always a huge mentor of mine. But just having that person that you can go to and talk to and relate to, and he's been through or she's been through it before, and it's somebody that you want to get to where they're at. That is a huge piece, I think, that a lot of people would like they need that. And I think a lot of people focus on the money aspect or this and that, but like how much is your life worth to you is the big question. So are you willing to develop and grow and get in shape? Because a couple years down the line, we don't know what's going to happen. So when you can see that in a bigger picture and understand that it's time to make a change, that's when you're going to start making astronomical jumps.
I love that. And I think that in my experience too, since we have kind of like we're in the same space, um, a lot of times people just don't really know what to do. People maybe have tried a number of things and they haven't been able to stick with it. And a lot of stuff out there, quite frankly, isn't really sustainable. There's a lot of these fad kind of things that just I think make it a lot harder for people. So a huge thing is like really helping people with the things they can do, especially like we talked a little bit earlier about kind of like the importance of the incremental changes and helping people understand that it's a process of incremental changes and you're making maybe one or two at a time every month or so, and then getting that established and moving on to the next thing. I also love the notion of like helping younger people who were maybe like in your place maybe several years back, and really like reaching kids as they're at that point in high school where they really need that. And especially somebody that's kind of outside of the parents or the family or even the school, but who's also been there, because it makes it real for them. Like that's
Yes.
possible and you've been there and you can help them like get there.
Yes. I think the biggest thing is kind of relating to that is that, but a lot of kids have that limiting belief of, I can't do this because of that. But you can do anything you put your mind to. I believe that 100%. The thing, you can't do everything though. So you can't be two places at once. But anything you put your mind to and you have the right coaching and people around you that are positively impacting you, you can do anything.
Yeah, I love that. And it's so inspiring and it's true. And just having somebody to help make it real for them. So along those lines, like if someone was looking to work with you, how can people find you and connect with you? And are there any is there anything you're currently enrolling for or promoting that you would want to share with people tuning in that might be interested in working with you?
Yeah, so I'm all over social media. I have Snapchat, Instagram's Andrew Gorkowski, and then I have a TikTok, Andrew underscore Gorkowski, I think. I'll have to double check that for y'all. And then I'm starting promoting on YouTube. But the three kind of programs I have right now, I have a nutrition program. So people that kind of are good in the weight room, but don't really know the right things to eat. So they're eating a lot and they think I'm going to lift and lift and lift, but they're eating just as much, and all the weight they just lost in the gym is coming right back on through eating. So I got a program for that. I have a program more focused on strength training. So maybe for those younger guys that are trying to build muscle, like myself. I mean, in this past year, not even year, probably 4 or 5 months, I've put on 15 pounds of muscle. But just putting on that muscle, putting on that extra weight to get to that next level, or just if you want to get stronger, look better, the whole deal. And then the last part is kind of putting all three together. So the mindset, the nutrition, and the fitness. So if you're really feeling lost, but you want more, you want to be better, you want to grow, go get uncomfortable and let's go make some changes.
I love that. Those all sound awesome. And clearly, people have someone in you that can help like be a guide for them. You've been doing this, you have a lot of experience with a lot of these things. And I love how you kind of have all of those critical components, because I know you and I've talked before about how mindset almost feels kind of understated in a lot of the fitness space. I mean, I think some people kind of touch on it, but it's just to me that was one of the biggest ahas when I really got into it longer term, was like how much of it is mindset. You can do all these other things, but you're only going to get so far if you don't kind of have your head in the game, so to speak. So to really
Yeah.
have somebody putting all that together is awesome.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, so definitely folks, tuning in, check out, Andrew, find him on social media, connect with him. I know I follow you on social media and I always find your content inspiring, and you always have lots of great stuff around working out and nutrition. So definitely lots of great stuff just from connecting with Andrew online. And then also definitely check out how you can connect with Andrew and work with him in these programs, especially if you are, wanting to either shed some weight or just improve your overall health, or maybe just get some guidance and improve your mindset. So it's been great to have you join us here today, Andrew. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Really appreciate you coming on today and sharing your experience with sports and all of what you've learned with mindset over the years.
Yeah, I loved everything about this and more to come. So thank you.
Great. All right. Thank you. And thank you, listeners, for tuning in today, as always. And again, just a reminder, if you aren't already, please make sure you like, subscribe, and follow the podcast and share it with others who you think would benefit or enjoy this podcast. And watch out on the comments from the Facebook Live and also on the YouTube and podcast channels so that you can find the links for how you can connect with and work with Andrew. And find him on social media, because I'll be sharing all of that. So until our next episode, I wish you all a wonderful Wednesday, and I will see you all in the next episode of the Faith, Fitness, Joy podcast. Thank you. Bye.